X-Men Legends was released nearly 20 years ago on September 21st, 2004, and featured a star-studded cast with big names like Sir Patrick Stewart, reprising his role as Professor Xavier, Ed Asner as Healer, and Luba Diamond Phillips as Forge, among others. This action RPG released with pretty favorable reviews, hovering around the mid-80s, and would set the stage for the superhero genre going forward. It inspired such games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the Batman Arkham series, and the most recent Spider-Man games. I remember playing this back in the day with my brother and greatly enjoying the co-op portion of this game. This time, I was tackling it solo and was eager to see if it stood the test of time or not. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say that I don't think it did, but it did have some bright spots. The story in this one is very well done and feels like it could be a run in the comic series. The game starts with Allison Cressmere, aka Magma, being abducted by the anti-mutant military group known as a GRSO. Mystique and Blob then muddy the waters by taking her from them, and she is then rescued by the X-Men. As things always seem to happen to the X-Men, things start spiraling out of control pretty quickly, with one bad day after another. The team rushes to rescue Gambit from the Morlocks, the Brotherhood of Mutants breaks Magneto out of a submersive aircraft carrier, and things take a turn for the weird when you find out Shadow King has put Magic into a coma. This event leads to the team entering the astral plane, where Xavier is captured and taken by the Shadow King. Right around the same time, Magneto shows up on the school lawn, along with a bunch of Sentinels that you must dispatch. I will say that these Sentinels were a giant pain in the ass, and I feel this game took a huge step up in difficulty department at this point in the game. Without Xavier there to guide them, the X-Men then set out to stop the Sentinel threat, put down the Juggernaut who is rampaging around Muir Island, rescue Xavier from the Shadow King, and then stop Magneto, who is plotting to wage war on the human race from his base, Asteroid M. As I said, the story was great and felt like a genuine X-Men story. You can tell the developers and writers really cared about the source material, and it shines here. Throughout the story, you can play as many different X-Men. The full list includes Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Beast, Iceman, Magma, Jean Grey, Jubilee, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Colossus, Gambit, Psylocke, and then even Emma Frost and Professor Xavier. While the roster was nice and fleshed out, I felt myself using the team of Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, and Magma for the most part, as they just felt stronger than the other members. Also, playing solo was such a fucking giant pain in the ass in this game. I got so damn frustrated for my team standing around during fights, standing in the way when I need to go through a fucking door, walking through fire traps, taking damage, and just being all around idiots. The AI needs some major help in this one, and having someone to play with would be the ideal way to go. The team could combo off each other for major damage, which was awesome, but I don't know how many times I'd be my ass kicked and start yelling at Iceman for staying in the corner licking his damn popsicle. The combat itself is super boring and repetitive as well. Mash A, use the power, mash A. You get the idea. You can see where later games really got their inspiration from this system and built upon it, but this iteration is a bore compared to today's standards. The RPG elements in this game were okay. Every time you leveled up, you received skill points to put into various skills or abilities. The items were pretty meh, as you got an abundance of crappy gear compared to actual upgrades, but there were some that were actually pretty helpful. I thought the items that replenished health and energy were worth the weight in gold. Speaking of both of those, some levels were much more difficult than others, simply because you couldn't find any damn health potions anywhere. There were some missions where they dropped so fast that my inventory constantly maxed, and there were some others that I had to find ways to cheese the levels in order to get past them, because it simply wouldn't give me any potions. It was super unbalanced and extremely frustrating at times. Additionally, I don't know how much time I spent running through empty levels or corridors that I had already cleared while I tried to figure out where I was supposed to go. It may have just been a victim of the times here, but there were plenty of instances where I'd finish one objective and then have absolutely no clue where to go next. Also, it was really fucking annoying when I finished fighting through an area, only get to a spot where I couldn't progress without backtracking to add Iceman to my team because he needed to make an ice bridge. Seriously, Iceman sucks in this game. He's a dick. Finally, the X-Mansion, while a neat concept as a hub, was later better done in Legends 2 and Ultimate Alliance. In this game though, it was just a fucking bore. The area was way too big, and it felt that it slowed the game down to a crawl at some points. You just finished some super exciting mission, you ready for the next one? Nah, man. Here, play as Allison and go run around the mansion for 15 minutes. I hated every time I had to run around it. But there are some neat things like X-Men trivia and the danger room to explore if you're interested in those things. Overall, I really enjoyed the story of this game and the roster of characters, but the boring combat, frustrating AI, and Slog of the Mansion makes me have to say this one isn't worth your time by today's standards. If I hadn't decided to review it, I would have put it down fairly early into my playthrough. With that said, I think this game is a prime candidate for the remake treatment. Imagine a game like this, but in the same vein as the new Spider-Man games. It would be absolutely amazing to be able to use this cast of characters just like that. In fact, I think it's time for a new X-Men game in general. It has been way too long. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Shimmy signing out. Oh yeah, and fuck you, Iceman.